host, Kevin Barrier, and welcome to 5 Dubs Marketing Pros, where we highlight awesome brands and the stories behind them, and maybe just maybe geek out on all things marketing. All right, everyone. So today we're cracking open something special, a conversation with one of the business masterminds behind one of Frederick, Maryland's exciting new breweries. You might have seen their name and influence pop up around town, or maybe you've already tasted one of their fantastic beers. But here's the catch. They're not just a clever name or a trendy acronym. It means something deeper, something they live out every day throughout all of their businesses in Frederick County. So, without further ado, I'd like to introduce Joe Gatewood, co-founder and co-owner of RAK Brewing Company. Hey, Joe.
Kevin, how are you doing, Kevin?
I'm good. It has been a minute. So Joe and I used to work together, kind of a marketer-client relationship back in one of my previous lives. I've been a fly on the wall watching Joe and his wife Troyce and his team just killing it all around Frederick County, where I'm from. So when I had the opportunity to get Joe on, I wanted to jump at it. So thank you for taking the time. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. It's great to see you again, especially with the now COVID beard there, I see.
With that COVID, but yeah, I looked a lot younger. You know, I was Facebook's great about showing us memories, and they showed me a memory of myself, you, and Troyce at the Frederick News Post, at the Frederick News Post Best of the Best kind of like awards party of a picture that we took together. And I was a little bit thinner, and I had much less hair on my face. So,
oh yeah,
boy, how time ages us. But well, listen, so RAK Brewing. So,
yes,
you've been in the Gatewood name and your team and Troyce and you and everybody that works with you. You're kind of an institution here in Frederick. You're doing tons of great things. I know you're going to be humble with it, but primarily it's in like the real estate side of things, right? So Troyce Gatewood Partners, you've built out an incredible team. So what made you want to get into the craft brewery space?
it's interesting. It's interesting how the Lord works, because we had no intentions of getting into the brewery business originally. We were actually just looking to purchase a building to host events, because in our real estate business, we're very heavy on events. And we seem to have rented out every possible venue in Frederick. So we were like, hey, we should purchase our own place. And we had tried to buy another building close by and didn't win the offer, unfortunately. And then we heard that Smoketown Brewing, which was previous to us, was for sale. And I was like, well, it's a brewery. I do know the space, so we'll give it a shot, right? We'll try. So, and I happened to know who the listing agent was. So I called him up and I said, Tom, is it worth putting our name in the hat and seeing if we have a chance? He said, well, we already have a number of breweries that have put in offers, but I think you should. And there's a longer story to that, but that's really how we got started. We were actually looking not to open up a brewery, but to have a space just to have events.
And so I guess with looking at that space and why other breweries were looking was because not only was that space available, but what I'm assuming probably the brewery equipment and everything that was inside was that kind of a package deal. And is that kind of what enticed you to hit that brewery space?
Yeah. So, right. It came with everything, including a brewmaster. I mean, it was soup to nuts. And so we went ahead and put in an offer, and I knew the previous owner. Really, we met during COVID. And it's interesting because I feel like I call it the David and Goliath story, because I kept calling the listing agent, and he said, okay, well, we have 8 offers. Now we narrowed it down to 6, to 4, now it's down to 2 offers, and it's us, and the conglomerate that had recently purchased Flying Dog Brewing. So here, big company, and then we know nothing about brewing beer, and he selected us, and it was like, what? How did that happen? And we don't know for sure, but I had written I had written them the love letter, when we submitted our offer, and just wanted to let them know I wanted to, you know, keep it local, keep it in the community. Um, but my Dave, the previous owner, knew me from COVID, because during COVID, when everything shut down, we had decided to help out some of the local businesses. So we picked 6 restaurants and other stores, and we said, we're going to create professional videos for them. And we needed to have a location to interview all the owners. So that's how we called Dave at Smoketown and said, hey, would you allow us to use your space to be able to do that? And he did. So we ended up doing some filming there at the brewery. And we did something crazy, Kevin. I don't know if you remember this, but then we created these awesome videos and we premiered them on Facebook Live. We did a Facebook Live trivia night where we gave away $25,000 in gift cards to these local businesses, and we were
I remember
premiering their
that.
video. Yeah,
I
yeah, that
absolutely
was
remember that. Yeah, because
that was
Brooks, right? Your son Brooks
yeah,
is
with
an
my son Brooks,
incredible
exactly.
videographer, and I think his wife's in the business too. But it's
Yep.
the video work that he does is incredible. I absolutely remember that, and that speaks very much to kind of what I have always seen you and Troy's and your team really stand for. Um, well, let me ask this before we dive in, because
Yeah.
I love just the story and the mission behind what RAK stands for. Because
Yeah.
it had really strong legs before the brewery even existed. But before we do that, tell me, what was when RAK opened, what was the first beer that RAK created, and what was the influence behind it? Because I know that was a big buildup.
Yeah. So we were very fortunate, because during our renovations, uh, we hired a brewmaster from Sapwood Brewery in Columbia, Maryland. They happen to be the number
Mhm.
one brewery in the state of Maryland, so we feel very fortunate. And we brought him in and we said, "Listen, you have creative freedom, because we don't know how to brew beer and so forth." But we explained to him what our brand is and what our messaging is. And so the very first beer was "Kindness Kills," is what it was called, and it was an IPA, and it was absolutely delicious. Actually, it took off. People just loved it. But the name itself is kind of cool as well, especially when you understand our brand. Yeah.
Yeah, and so speaking of the brand, I can't hold this nugget any longer. So tell us, what does RAK
Yeah.
stand for, and why did you choose the messaging that RAK stands for to represent your brewery?
Yeah. So we hired a marketing firm when we bought the business, and kind of brewery 101 marketing. You have to come up with a name. It can't be more than 1 or 2 syllables, and it has to have a story behind it. That's what I was told.
Yeah.
So, we asked our family, we asked our friends, we were trying to come up with different ideas. We go to the marketing company, we name a few options, but the one that I really liked was RAK. They slept on it. They came up with some of their suggestions, but when we all came back to the table, understanding kind of the the meaning behind it, everybody, it was unanimous. We had to go with RAK, and I was a little bit concerned how the public would take it. It was a little risky, but anyway. Um, would you like me to tell you what it stands for, Kevin?
Yes, please do.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So it stands for Random Acts of Kindness. And it's interesting, because when I go to the brewery and I'll meet patrons that maybe it's their first time there, and I ask them, have you been here before? No. Do you know what RAK stands for? No. And as soon as I tell them, I mean, their eyes light up and they go, "Oh, that's awesome." That's, how cool is that? So I feel I'm grateful that we chose that name. Right. But the reason is because the story behind it is that's kind of who we are. In we have our own nonprofit. It's called TGB Gives. Our mission is to better the community through acts of kindness and generosity. And we really got started after COVID by just literally going out and doing random acts of kindness. Um, and we found that, you know, when you do a random act of kindness, yeah, it's great. The recipient, it's a benefit to the recipient, but it's the donor, it's the person that's actually doing that random act, how it makes them feel. Like, I just give you an example. Yesterday, I played golf with some buddies of mine, and after golf, we were getting ready to go out to our car, and there was this woman standing with a baby in her arms and all of this luggage, because we're down on the Eastern Shore. And I guess all this luggage was on the sidewalk. You had your pack and play, you had your stroller, your car seat, your suitcases, all of that stuff. And she's trying to one hand carry this stuff into her home. And I said, "Hey guys, let's go help her out." Something simple like that. I mean, she was so grateful that we went and did that. But, when we finished and we were walking to our cars, I looked at my buddies and they had this smile on their face. They were like, "Man, that was great." And it was very simple. So that's, you know, that's the message. That's kind of our story. And yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I remember, and your the that these acts of kindness and this philanthropy and just this mindset that you and Troyce and your team have, I've been watching it and following it as, when I first hopped into the Frederick News Post and you were doing the Funds for Causes
Right.
brand, and then getting into like the COVID area, Joe Gatewood partners. I think it was a presenting partnership or something to degree, but you guys are very integral in bringing in drive-in movies to the
Yeah,
fairgrounds
that's
downtown,
right.
which was awesome. I attended. It was I think a lot, you say it not only is great for the recipient, but great for the donor as well, because how it makes them feel. I think what I've always appreciated about you and Troyce and your brand is that um is that there's just like there's consistency, right? It's like
Mm.
I feel like you're not doing it to promote yourself or to promote your brand. You're doing it because you genuinely love our community. And we see that in all of the stuff that you do. So, talk to me a little bit about, because you have this, you and Troyce and your team have a reputation of being very selfless, giving back through the community involvements. And in doing that, how have you shaped that way of being beyond the name of RAK Brewing? How have you shaped and kind of flecked this philanthropy and just this front facing call for kindness? How have you put that into your brewery?
Well, into our brewing, like at the
Well,
brewery.
well, the brewery itself, like one thing is
Yeah.
your space is
Yeah.
beautiful, right? It's a space where
Yeah.
people can come and have fun in such a just it's like you leave no stone unturned. That's the
Yeah.
outsider's perspective looking in now. And you and Troyce always are very humble about it. So I know these are tough questions, but
Sure.
talk to me a little bit about how you're kind of embedding that random acts of kindness brand beyond the name into just the brewery as a whole. It could be into the beers, it could be into the space, future initiatives maybe that you want to
Yeah.
put out there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, part of it is the fun of some of the labeling of the beers, the cans, the names, the descriptions, things like that, and what we're able to publicly put out there. And you just never know when it's going to impact somebody. Um, we've also given carte blanche to a number of our teammates over at the brewery to perform random acts of kindness because we feel like it creates community. It's just good for the person, all of that sort of thing. We actually have a sign that says, "I've been racked." And what happens is, like, I'll go into the brewery, or one of our employees will be talking to someone that maybe it's their first visit there. They're having a good time. They're learning about what our name means, and we say, "Hey, listen, well, we're gonna perform a random act of kindness right now and buy your dinner or buy your beers or whatever." And I think that's a really cool thing. We actually, I don't know if you've seen it, but we have a giant mirror um, at the brewery, and we encourage people to come in and buy someone a beer, and they print the receipt, and they write a little note on the receipt, you know, to John, enjoy your next beer on me, Joe. And they take a picture of it and they text it out to their friend and say, "Hey, listen, I've got a beer waiting for you over at RAK Brewing." And they just come in, they look at the mirror, you see all of these receipts, they see one for themselves, and they get a free beer. And typically what happens is they'll get a beer and then they'll buy a beer for somebody else. And you start seeing that trickle effect. And that's kind of what we're trying to do at the breweries, is not viral, but I mean, we really want to expand our message kind of in a subtle way, right? And that's one of the things that we're doing at the brewery now. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a brilliance in that, and like, this pay it forward mentality, create a scaling of messaging through action, right?
Yeah.
I've bought my buddy a
Yeah.
beer, now my buddy's going to come in and buy another beer, and it's creating this community, but within your walls, of just like this good feeling, right? In a world right now where it's like a lot of craziness is going on. So I have heard from some who have gone to RAC that they feel like it's this like refuge. It's, you can go in, you can take a breath. If you've had a stressful day at work, like, you just feel good in going. You can get a great beer, maybe get some food, but just the environment, it's so inviting. It's and it's so positive, right? It's
Yeah.
like you immediately feel good going in, which is incredible. And that's probably one of the hardest things for any business to be able to accomplish, is having creating that community like that. I'm blessed. I have a few clients that have that type of community, and it's rare. So
Yeah.
congratulations
Thank you.
to you and your team on that.
Yeah. We
Now
have,
tell
yeah,
No,
we,
go ahead.
we have, like, the space is divided into two parts. We have the rack lounge and the rack yard. And our original space was the rack lounge. And yeah, our intent was, yeah, we wanted to build a place that was super comfortable. First of all, we're getting older, and we like to have cushions on the seats, and cushions on the backs, and just being really comfortable and pretty. In fact, people would ask me, "What's the vibe going to be like?" And I would say, "Well, I want it to become a place where women want to come, take pictures, and post it on Instagram."
Yeah.
But it's very interesting, because a year ago, at our first year anniversary, we discovered about 60% of our patrons were women at the time. But that was kind of crazy. But we wanted it to be a place where people would turn off the electronics, keep the phone in the purse, or keep the phone, in the pocket. I mean, we have a television in there, but we typically just have our logo on the television, because we want people to come in and just be present and and spend time with their family and friends. And that environment has been created and well received. At the same time, as we were doing that, we were recognizing there's another need in the community that's not being met. And it's when people do go out and they are with friends and they're doing that, there's nothing more to do. So then we open Rack Yard, where we have games, where we have bocce, where we have cornhole and darts and Connect Four and shuffleboard and all of those things, and a whole restaurant component too. Bringing in the food from food trucks inside and having a restaurant. It just adds a whole nother component and level. So when people go out, they can choose, what do we want to do? Do we want to go out and be active and be in an environment where there's games and all of that, or we do want to just go out and chill and be with friends and just hang out and just talk? So that's we're really fortunate to have those two options.
And it's interesting, you met the having folks come in to commune, put your devices down. There's this is a spot where you can come in with your friends and just talk. Do you feel like that was kind of influenced by how the Gatewood family is? Because you can see,
Mm,
I follow you on social
mm,
media. I'm not
mm.
lurking, I swear, but your family is always all very close.
Yeah.
I recently saw pictures of you and Troyce with your kids at the beach, and you put up this reflection of
Yes.
this gratefulness of being able to spend time with your family, and now your children finding a partner that's perfect for them as well. And I have always found following you is very motivational and inspirational in that way. Do
No,
you feel
thank you.
like that has influenced the environment within RAK?
Now that you say that, Kevin, you're probably right. Um, I wanted it to be if I'm thinking about it, that I want it to be a place where I would want my family to come and enjoy, and being able to provide that for others. You know, we're in a crazy time. Like
Yeah.
people are so busy, and people are going and going and going, and just to have a space where you can walk in and not be judged, be treated well. Like our staff is phenomenal. We've been very fortunate and blessed. Like our staff is second to none, and just come and be treated so nicely, and have a space where you can just be, and have that quiet time or have that time with your family and friends yeah, that's something that we cherish as a family and is very important to us. So being able to provide that to the community is super cool.
Yeah. No, that's a girl. So I mean, you all are very busy. You seemingly are very busy. I mean, you have a brewery that's this beautiful space that's thriving and incredibly successful. You have a real estate company with
Mhm.
lots of employees and is very successful and very active, and all of these random acts of kindness that tend to pop up because others are thanking you. It's not something you're doing and then throwing out there to say, look at what I'm doing. It's others are You're very selfless in that way. How do you, like, what's the secret? Because you also have not aged in like the 10 years I've known you. Like, what is that secret that you're able to balance work and life and health and just everything that you seem to have cracked the code on? Like, share it for the rest. Like, what would you say to a young aspiring entrepreneur that wants to be a you or a Troyce one day? Like, what would you say to them that would put them on the right path?
Yeah, yeah. I remember addressing a crowd once, and I had just read something about how do you remain in like a high performance level, like how do you stay engaged, like no matter how busy you are. And they said, okay, I'm going to give you three things, and what I assumed they were going to say is you have to have a good diet, good exercise, good sleep. So they started going down, and they said, okay, yes, you have to have good sleep, you have to be rested, right, you have to take care of your body, um, and you have to have a good diet, right? And then the third, I figured, oh, it's going to be exercise. Well, it wasn't. And they said, you really need to be kind, do nice things for others. And I thought that was really interesting. So then I went and I spoke at another group, and remembering that, I challenged them. I said, listen, I challenge you to do one thing kind for somebody every day, whether it's opening a door for someone, helping them with their groceries. It doesn't have to cost money, but do one thing intentionally kind every day for 30 days. Come back and tell me how you feel. And I didn't expect anybody to come back, but it happened. And it was amazing. I remember this one woman, she came to me, she said, Joe, I was just so stressed because it was all about me, and I'm stressed. I was gaining weight. I wasn't productive at work, it was a negative effect. I was having a negative impact on my family, and I did that, and life has changed. And so as busy as we are, which we're super busy, but I'm grateful for being busy,
Yeah.
making sure that you know, it, you do think of others. Whenever that opportunity arises, you do think of others. I think it, it's so important. It's so valuable. Um, and also the other thing is interesting, it's because Troyce and I have worked together for, I don't know, over 40 years. We've
And
we've
I
worked together.
before I want to
Yeah.
just say
Yeah.
how amazing it is. I'm envious at how I see your and her relationship being. It's like any time when I took that picture way back at the Best of the Best event. You two were so incredibly in love, and it's working together can be stressful, I would assume, right? And
Yeah.
you two have like just this pride. I don't know, maybe I would call it soulmates, right? Or what, it's just the perfect
Yeah.
pair. I applaud that, because that's also a rarity too. And it's heartwarming to see. So any tips on that too for us
Yeah.
single folks out there would be on what's the secret sauce
Probably.
to a happy partnership?
Oh man, I know. Gosh. Because people ask me all the time, they said, how do you do it, man? It's like we're together 23 and a half hours a day together. It's like, but I wouldn't have it any other way. And now I look at my son, Brooks, you mentioned him and his wife, you know, they're married and they work together, so they're kind of following that same path. Um, Really, I don't have like that, oh, this is the secret sauce, Kevin.
Sure.
But I wake up every day and I thank God for Troyce, right? And just putting myself in that mindset when the day starts and when the day ends. I thank the Lord for having her in my life that day. Every single day, I just make a point of it, and I just try to listen. I try to be a listener. You have to be a listener to maintain that strong relationship. You know, um, those are really just the two things that come top of mind. Yeah.
That's great. If us a shout out to Troyce Gatewood. She is one of the loveliest human beings I've ever had the honor of meeting. So hopefully when she's listening to this, Troyce, it's you know, you got a good guy there, and Joe, you've got a great lady there as well.
Yeah,
Well,
appreciate.
listen, you're finding opportunities amidst a busy schedule to live life, which is
Yeah,
awesome. But Frederick has no shortage of breweries.
right.
And thankfully Frederick is, and everyone says, I feel like, and leave it to us marketers to use and abuse things like this, but it's like, when folks say, it's like, no, where I live, really, it is unique and it's special. Frederick really is unique and special in the fact of, from what I understand, the brewery culture and just the brewery businesses are very collegial with each other, right? Perhaps not necessarily this hard competition, but rather a community. But there are a lot of breweries in Frederick, so talk to me about how you envision RAK evolving and standing out amidst the just the full brewery landscape here in Frederick and beyond.
Yeah, so it's interesting because I can be at the brewery, Kevin. I look one way, see another brewery, look across the creek, see another brewery. I mean, or two, So yeah, you're right. It is a very unique opportunity, and you could look at it as competition, and how are we going to win over them? How are we going to get people to come to our brewery and not their brewery? But at the end of the day, in order for us to succeed, I feel very strongly that every brewery needs to succeed. We want everybody to be a success because people come and the attraction is that there are so many breweries. So they can go to one, enjoy a beer, the time, go to another, go to another, go to another. If we're the only ones there, it's a whole different story. So we really want everyone to be successful. And you're right. I mean, it's a good community. I mean, we're the new guys on the block. Um, so, but I have found that the other breweries, I mean, they've just been super open and kind of wanting to do things together and collaborate, and I think it's wonderful. We, how are we going to stand out? I was blown away. You probably know this. USA Today named us the #2 brewery in the United States for all new breweries that have opened up over the last 3 years.
Number 2.
So,
And let's
yeah,
just talk about the gravity behind that because USA Today, huge media organization, number 2 brewery in the United States, in the nation for new breweries that
it's
have come.
crazy.
What do you attribute to being awarded that? Because that's crazy. That's awesome. I mean, that's for marketers, that's like the end game. That's what you
Yeah.
aspire to be.
Yeah. So when we bought the business 2 years ago, we're like, what do we want to accomplish? Let's figure this out. I said, okay, I want to do three things. I want to have an in order, this is in order after asking 100 people, a great vibe, number one, because sometimes you get that one shot, do they like it or not? The vibe that'll bring them in the door. Great service. We want to have exceptional service. We want everybody to be treated the same, treated well, and then great beer. Those are the three things that we wanted to accomplish. We did not know when the folks from USA Today came to the brewery. They did not announce it. It was only after they had been there did we find out. And it was those three things that we were judged on. It was the space itself, it was the taste of the beer, and it was how they were treated. And, you know, that's the key. I mean, it hasn't really changed. It's not rocket science for us. And so, and you go back to the name RAK, like we want to treat our team, if we can treat our teammates well, and if we can get them to understand who we are and what our mission is, because it's not just about the beer, it is about the name and what we stand for, then they're going to do the same to the patrons that come through the door, right? So it starts from the top, right? We've got to treat our staff well. Otherwise, it doesn't work, right? And that's our objective every day is just how can we treat our staff well, and so it'll trickle down.
And you can see that in the work that you do. When I was doing some work for you, I felt that as well, right? This collaborative nature and feeling like that I mattered in what I said, that the ideas that would remember, I would text you or give you a call and say, "Hey, I have an idea. Can I swing by?" And I knew you were busy, and I know Choice was busy, and you was, yeah, sure. Let's schedule a time, even for here for
Yeah,
this podcast, right?
sure.
So it's it it's I can attest to it because during our short time that we worked together in that kind of marketer client capacity, I felt that as well. I felt like I was a part of your team.
Yeah.
Um, which is awesome. And then the three, great vibe, great service, great beer, it's all customer centric, right?
Mm,
It's and I've spoken to a lot of businesses in the work that I do, and I'll ask them, what's your true north? And it's this very grandiose, um almost esoteric response, and then 30 days in, it's pivoted
mm.
quickly to looking inwards versus looking from the outside in or looking outwards. And I've always found that you and Troyce and your team have always stuck to that true north in everything that you've done. And I think that shows the value and benefit there.
And
Um, yeah.
thank you.
So yeah, no, absolutely. So as we're wrapping up,
Sure.
and you spoke on this a little bit, but I want to give you an opportunity, like you're talking at one of your keynotes that you give, if you could encourage people listening to just take one action today,
Mm.
that's inspired by random acts of kindness, by RAK Brewing and random acts of kindness, what would that be? What would you tell all the listeners to take action on? Just one action today.
Mm. Say hello to a stranger on the street with a big smile. We just don't have enough of it, right? And it is such an easy thing to do, and it is such an easy thing not to do, right? It's getting out of our own way, getting out of our own, what's important to us, and just taking a minute, go up to a stranger. So last week we went and we fed the folks at Community Action Agency,
Hmm.
which are primarily homeless folks, and having the opportunity to interact with them was awesome. I love it, right? So yeah, I would just encourage everyone, just because you think about it, what was life when you were a kid? Like when I was a kid, it was much different than it is today, right? When I was a kid, we'd go out and play, we'd meet neighbors, there were no worries. We'd wait for the bell to ring, we'd come home for dinner. Um, Today, people are just, they I don't know if it's out of fear or what, but if you could just take a moment and go to somebody who you don't know and say, "Hey, how are you?" And say something nice. "Man, I really like your tie," or "I like your shoes," or "Man, you have such a great smile." Um, that's it. That simple thing, Kevin. It makes a huge difference, really.
And that's I got goosebumps when you said that, because I'm envisioning, as I'm walking around downtown Frederick,
Yeah.
um, myself included, admittedly, my device in hand, eyes on the device. I'm in a bubble, right? And I'm not
Right.
appreciating and exploring, those around me and just the environment that's around me. So, having the understanding of just, being able to open your eyes and realize and being in the present, right? It's because usually it's like if I'm walking downtown, I'm thinking about a campaign that's getting ready to launch or what I have to do next week or something that happened the week prior. I'm not staying present. And I think that's a lost art, because you're right. It's growing up, it was, there weren't devices in that way. I had video games, which was great. I was a gamer and a nerd, but I also
Yeah.
got out on my bike and played with friends and got dirty and was just a kid in the present. So
Yeah.
getting back to that, I think is such an easy thing to do. And man, how viral could that become? Just saying hi to someone else and asking them how their day is, and
Yeah.
just
We should start a
recognizing those
National
moments.
Hello Day.
I wonder if that exists. If not, it's RAK Brewing has intellectual ownership over that, ladies
There
and
you
gentlemen.
go.
So no, that's awesome. Well, listen,
Oh,
Joe, this has been awesome. I have been wanting to chat with you for some time about RAK. Congratulations on
man.
such an awesome space, such an awesome
Thank you.
venture, and just all of the work that you and Troyce and your team do in the community makes such a positive impact in an environment that is crazy right now. So having that good is amazing. For everyone listening, if you have not gone to RAK Brewery in Frederick, get to RAK Brewery. They're on Saginaw Avenue, right? Saginaw
Yes.
Avenue. Yep, they're on
Yes.
Saginaw Avenue. Go to rakbrewing.com. That's rakbrewing.com. Follow them on Facebook, follow them on Instagram, and check out Troyce Gatewood and Partners too.
Yeah.
It's everything that you could work with Joe and Troyce on usually turns to gold. So you can't go wrong there. Joe, is there anywhere else that folks, or is there anything else that you want to make sure folks know? Maybe things that are coming up in the future, maybe like an upcoming brew that's coming into RAK. Anything else you want to let folks know before we finish up?
No, I think you hit it on the nail, Kevin. Yeah. Rackbrewing.com. And we are constantly thinking about new things to do and being able to offer to the community. And you'll find it on the website for sure if you don't see it on our social channels as well. We are on Facebook and Instagram as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, and when you get to RAK Brewing, check out the Our Beer tab at the top right. You'll see, New Grounds, Coffee Brown, and Untamed Wilderness, Brown Ale and an IPA. I mean, the just the diversity of different brews that you have is awesome. The art
Oh,
that
yeah.
you have, I mean, it's such a cool brand, such a cool vibe. Service is great. Brews are even better. I mean, you've hit the nail on the head again, Joe. Congratulations on that.
Appreciate it, Kevin.
Yeah, you got it. Well, so that will do it for today. For everyone listening, thank you for listening in. And until next time, see ya.
Thank you.
Five Dubs Marketing Pros is hosted by me, Kevin Barrier. Our executive producer is MDDC Executive Director Rebecca Snyder. Post-production by Caroline Pecora. Our theme music is by Azulu Studio. A special thank you to our guests for being with us. You can find 5 Dubs and 5 Dubs Marketing Pros on Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcast.